Hi, grade 11. It's good that you're back here with me for Unit 3 Making Medical Decisions. Today we're gonna study Reading 2. So I'd like you to open your textbook and go to page 73. Okay, here we are. Reading 2 Norman Cousins' Laughter Therapy. Norman Cousins was a well known American writer and editor. When he was diagnosed with a serious illness, he was not content to let the doctor make all of his medical decisions. He decided to use his own type of alternative therapy. He focused on the importance of a positive attitude and healing. After writing about a successful recovery, he received mail from all over the world. Many letters came from doctors who supported his ideas. Interesting, right? Look at the boldface words in the reading and think about the questions. What can we think about? Which words do you know the meaning of? Basically, we're looking at the bold-faced words here. Here, Norman Cousins' Laughter Therapy. Oh, a picture of Charlie Chaplin. We've got the word consulted, conventional, illicit, skeptical, and alternative. That's the word. Okay, so those are the bold-faced words that we're looking at for this part of reading 2. Which words do you know the meaning of? And can you use any of the words or phrases in a sentence? It would be great if you were able to do that. And in our next Zoom meeting, I will ask you to make a sentence with the words. Yeah. Okay, let's read the article about Norman Cousins. As you read, notice the bold-faced vocabulary and try to guess its meaning from the context. Now, before we do this, I want to review with you the reading strategy steps, right? The first step being previewing, where you predict the type of text and the purpose by looking at the title and the visuals and maybe the subheadings. In this case, this text doesn't have subheadings. Yeah. And then we would do step 2, which is skimming, where we read the introductory paragraph and the topic sentence, or the first paragraph of each body paragraph, and the concluding paragraph. And we do that to get the main idea of the text, right? And then the third step would be question analysis, to know the topic and the purpose of the question. And then we could read the text intensively, active reading by reading only the body paragraphs and annotating the important points, and then answer the question by scanning the text quickly, looking over the text in order to find the specific keyword, reading before the keyword, after the keyword, reading the surrounding text in order to find the answer. Great. Now we're going to listen and read at the same time. Please annotate the text, on main points and important details. Let's go.
Norman Cousins' Laughter Therapy. In the summer of 1964, well-known writer and editor Norman Cousins became very ill. His body ached, and he felt constantly tired. It was difficult for him to even move around. He consulted his physician, who did many tests. Eventually, he was diagnosed as having ankylosing spondylitis, a very serious and destructive form of arthritis. His doctor told him that he would become immobilized and eventually die from the disease. He was told he had only a 1 in 500 chance of survival. Despite the diagnosis, Cousins was determined to overcome the disease and survive. He had always been interested in medicine and had read the work of organic chemist Hans Selye, The Stress of Life, 1956. This book discussed the idea of how body chemistry and health can be damaged by emotional stress and negative attitudes. Selye's book made Cousins think about the possible benefits of positive attitudes and emotions. He thought, if negative emotions produce negative changes in the body, wouldn't positive emotions produce positive chemical changes? Is it possible that love, hope, faith, laughter, confidence, and the will to live have positive therapeutic value? He decided to concentrate on positive emotions as a remedy to heal some of the symptoms of his ailment. In addition to his conventional medical treatment, he tried to put himself in situations that would elicit positive emotions. Laughter therapy became part of his treatment. He scheduled time each day for watching comedy films, reading humorous books, and doing other activities that would bring about laughter and positive emotions. Within 8 days of starting his laughter therapy program, his pain began to decrease, and he was able to sleep more easily. His body chemistry even improved. Doctors were able to see an improvement in his condition. Within a few months' time, he was able to walk wearing a metal brace. Soon after that, he was able to return to work. He actually reached complete recovery in a few years. He lived for 26 years after he became ill. He died in 1990 at the age of 75. Skeptical readers may question the doctor's preliminary diagnosis, but Cousins believed his recovery was the result of a mysterious mind-body interaction. His laughter therapy is a good example of one of the many alternative or non-conventional medical treatments people look to today.
Yes, so that is very interesting that there is such a therapy. Now, the comprehension, write answers to the questions. Yeah, so I want you to annotate questions number 1 to 4 first on keywords, and then you can scan your text in order to answer the questions. You can pause your video to do that. Go ahead. Great, that brings us to the reading skill. In reading 2, the author describes a number of events that take place around the year 1964. Cousins' diagnosis with arthritis, his reading books by Hans Selye, his invention of laughter therapy, etc. What is the order in which these different events take place? And please let me know how you know. Go ahead and try to answer that. Okay, that brings us to using a timeline to organize the sequence of events. So that is one of the reading skills, yeah, using a timeline. It helps us because it helps us see what happens in what sequence. Making a timeline of events in a narrative is a useful way to organize and remember information. This organization can help readers understand the text. In the article about Norman Cousins, a number of events happened before, during, and after the summer of 1964. Look at paragraph 3. The author states, within 8 days of starting his laughter therapy program later in the summer of 1964, his pain began to decrease and he was able to sleep more easily. His body chemistry even improved. Okay, how would you complete the timeline? So late in the summer of 1964, 8 days later, and so on and so on. What happened later in the summer of 1964? Cousins was diagnosed with a severe form of arthritis and started his laughter therapy program. And what happened 8 days later? Cousins' pain decreased. He was able to sleep better and his body chemistry improved. Now, understanding how events are related chronological, that's what we call it chronological, in the right timeline, it can increase the comprehension and retention of the information you read. Using a timeline in one way is one way to do this. It's easier to understand text and also better to follow and to remember even. Okay, go back to reading 2. Complete the timeline using information from the article. So we've got sometime before the summer of 1964, summer of 1964, later in the summer of 1964, 8 days later, a few months later, soon after that, a few years later, and 1990. Awesome! You can pause your video and try to complete this timeline. Go ahead. that brings us to the last part of this video session today. It's connecting the readings. Remember, we're looking at reading 1 and reading 2, and we're connecting the information of both readings in order to analyze and then connect the dots and then evaluate to come to justification or a conclusion, and then to create something new. You have read about genetic testing in reading 1 and Norman Cousins' laughter therapy in reading 2. What are the similarities and differences between them? Complete the Venn diagram with information from both readings. Okay, in the left circle, write the notes that are true, only about the genetic testing. In the right circle, which is blue, write notes that are true only about Norman Cousins. And in the middle, which is green, write the notes that are true for both, that are similar. So this is the differences and this is the similarities where it overlaps. Yeah. Okay, you pause your video and you do this. Go ahead. Awesome. That brings us to the last step, which is synthesizing. And this is where now we have already connected all the ideas. We're basically going to use the ideas in order to create something, right? In this case, for synthesizing, you're supposed to write a short paragraph explaining the similarities and differences between the genetic testing story and Norman Cousins' story. How, in this way, are both stories similar but also different? Now, we're not gonna do that, but we are going to talk about this in class during our Zoom meeting. I would like you guys to tell me what the similarities and differences are. Yes? Great. Yeah, you already have your journal to work on, so I'm not going to give you additional writing, but we can do it in the form of speaking, right? Awesome. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson today. I'm going to give you a quick review. We started off with our vocabulary in context of a text and knowing the meaning and the definition of it. By analyzing the context, we did comprehension questions to understand the text. We reviewed the reading strategies of previewing, skimming, intensive reading, question analysis, and scanning. We learned the reading skill of using a timeline to organize and sequence events to know the chronological order of what happens in a story, and connecting the readings, reading 1 and 2, to organize, to analyze and connect the points, the information, and which brings us to an evaluation, which is a judgment and or conclusion, and to create something new. Okay, awesome. You did a great job. Thank you very much for today.